Hey everyone, Devin here. So today I'm going to tell you about how I got into the splits 6 weeks postpartum. It's a little bit unexpected. So you might be thinking you're coming here and you're going to get some secret that no one's ever shared with you before, and that you're going to be able to get into the splits like in practicing it like 5 times. And that's not what this video is about. So it's true. I did get into the splits 6 weeks postpartum, and stick around because I'm going to give you some tips towards the end of the video. But this is more about all those videos and all those claims and all those ads that you might be seeing, because I've been seeing them a lot lately, and I know that's because I have a baby and I talk about postpartum things often, and it's like, oh, do this move 4 times a day for 2 weeks, and you're going to heal your diastasis recti, or do this thing 3 times a day for a week, and you're going to heal your apron belly, or do this thing and do that thing for this crazy short amount of time because I did it, and naturally, because I did it, if you do this, it's all going to work. Never mind that so many of those people have had other things going on behind the curtain. Maybe they've had help from some other kind of professional, or in my case, for the splits, I got into it 6 weeks postpartum because I've always been able to do the splits. I do not remember a time in my life that I haven't been able to do the splits. If I hadn't been induced, like in the hospital right before giving birth, like if I wasn't all hooked up to machines, I could have done the splits. I would have needed help getting out of it, but I could have done it. So yeah, I was able to do the splits 6 weeks postpartum. And, I did a couple of easy stretches. I could have been one of those people in those ads being like, oh, do this little stretch once a day and you can get into the splits 6 weeks postpartum. But no, the whole thing is that is targeting postpartum women who are feeling vulnerable. So many of us feel like alien in our own bodies because we've just been through trauma. Whether it was an easy labor, easy birth or not, it's still trauma on your body, and your hormones are doing everything they can to re-level themselves. And so you're going through it and you're feeling feelings, you're feeling vulnerable, you want to feel normal, you're pre-pregnancy normal, and there's all these things that are targeting you that are like, oh, do this thing and you'll feel normal in 2 weeks, you'll feel normal in 30 days, you'll feel normal in 6 weeks. And I'm here to tell you that while it's possible, like I was able to do splits 6 weeks postpartum, it's not the same for every single person. Like the people who were able to get a flat belly, like doing some movement like 4 times a day for 2 weeks, that's probably because they had a really flat belly before pregnancy, and their body's used to that, and their body was able to get back to that same thing pretty quickly. Like me, I was always able to do the splits, and my body was able to get back to that like super fast. The important thing though is that to note is that our bodies are healing from trauma, like I said, after giving birth, after being pregnant for 9 months. And doing these things like we want to feel normal so quickly. We want to do the thing that these ads and these videos and these reels are targeting us for in that short amount of time that they're telling us and promising us. We forget that that can cause setbacks, that can cause injury. That's the last thing you want when you are trying to heal, when you're trying to care for a whole human other than yourself. Maybe you're trying to breastfeed. If you're not, you are formula feeding, which means you are having to clean bottles and heat up bottles and sterilize and all these things. And the last thing you need is a setback. The last thing you need is an injury. The last thing you need is a hemorrhage. So is it important to get these things in that quick amount of time? In the big scheme of things, no. You know, it's like, it may be a priority for you and it may be something you really want, but it's not important. What's important is staying safe, working towards your goals so that you can be the best version of yourself in this chapter of your life, so that you can not only show up for your baby, but show up for yourself so that you're not injured. It's like, you know, especially if you've had the C-section, like you do not need to rupture that incision site. So you have to be very careful with the claims that are out there that are like, do this thing just a couple of times a day and it'll heal this thing. You know, if you have diastasis recti, depending on the degree to which you have it, you might need some professional help to heal that, you know, doing core exercises, even in the most accurate way, the most like the best form possible, might not be able to heal it on your own. You might need professional help. So, you know, my whole thing about this mom talk, real talk thing for this video is to be careful with all of those claims. I've just been seeing them so often lately. And, you know, in media right now, I'm sure you've all noticed it. There's like that shift to skinny is like in, it's like the new fashion thing. So try not to get sucked into that when you're healing. You know, you have whatever goals you have, and whatever goals you have are valid, but just make sure that you're doing it in the safest way possible. If your goal is to breastfeed, you also want to make sure that you're being careful with like what you're putting in your body and how much of it, because that can affect your supply. And, you know, doing all that stuff in a reasonable timeline, you know, maybe it's going to be months, maybe it's going to be a year. That's totally fine. You know, you have your whole life to reach your goals. You don't like if you get the splits in 6 weeks, no one's going to give you a gold star for that. You know, it might feel really good to get that for your own self, but it's also going to feel really good if you get it in a year. It's also going to feel really good if you get it in 2 years. And once you do get it, there's still more milestones you can hit after. Like once you get it, it's not like, okay, my life's over now. I got that one goal that I wanted. Like, so what? You know, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. So just keep that in mind. I don't like seeing all of those ads and reels about doing like this one simple thing and like it's some kind of secret unlocked and then it's going to heal everyone's issues. You know, like we're all different. If that healed that person's issue, like that's wonderful and I'm so happy for them, but it doesn't mean it's going to heal everyone's issues. So having said that, if you are working on your splits, I'll have a few tips for you. Of course, you want to stretch your hamstrings. It's super important. It's like the main thing. But surprisingly, you also want to strengthen your legs. It's really important because in everything, we want to have balance. So if you are stretching too much, then you might injure yourself. You need the strength there to keep the integrity of the pose. So you want to make sure you're doing strengthening as well. That might be a really good thing to do before you're stretching. So, you know, do some lunges, do some warrior poses, stuff like that. Some chair poses, get your legs nice and strong, and then you can do your stretches after, and that will not only help you towards your goal of the splits, but it'll also help with potential soreness from the strengthening. Another thing to focus on is your hip flexor mobility. So once again, stretching that, but also strengthening it, which might be a surprise to you if all you've ever done is try to stretch to get into your splits. But yeah, you want to strengthen as well. And you also want to notice in your body, like, for example, if you go to try to touch your toes, can you touch your toes? If you can't touch your toes, is it like, are you feeling a big stretch? Like it feels like your legs are gonna rip? Or is it like, I don't really feel a stretch, but I can't go further? If that's the case, then you might want to look into some hip flossing. If you don't know what that is, it's usually having one hip in a different level than the other hip, and doing some forward folds and some dynamic movement with that. That is to help you because oftentimes it's like a neurological reason, like your body's trying to protect itself from ripping and you just can't get over it. So if you're able to do hip flossing, it might be able to help rewire your brain a bit to show that, hey, I'm doing this in a safe way. You can stretch more. Yeah, so you can definitely look into that, or if you want me to talk to you a bit more about that, you can drop that in the comments. So just to recap my tips, you want to stretch your hamstrings and your hip flexors, obviously, but you also want to strengthen your hamstrings and your hip flexors. And on top of that, if you are noticing that you're trying to stretch and touch your toes, but you're not feeling much of a stretch, but you can't go further, you can look into hip flossing and see if that helps you out at all. So that has been my talk about how I got into the splits 6 weeks postpartum. And the answer is because I've always been able to do the splits, and I just waited until I was cleared to do my exercise stuff at 6 weeks. You know, I did a couple of forward folds and I was able to do it. So it's not a brag, that's just my body. But you can get there if you work on it consistently and notice how long it takes you. It probably won't take you 6 weeks if you've never done the splits, but you know, if you're consistent, maybe it will be like 6 months or a year or something. And don't let those numbers scare you. Like, you never know how long it can take you if you are consistent and you make those gains. And yeah, just watch out for all of those ads that are trying to target you. And if you want to check out my Facebook community, Mommy Yoga, I will link the link in my description, or you could check out the community tab. I'm trying to get that going too. All right, I hope this was informative. I hope it was relatable. If it was, feel free to comment or drop one of those emojis, like one of these ones or whatever is your favorite one, and we can chit chat about that. All right, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye for now.